Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to another edition of The Explainer. I am so glad you're hanging out with us today, because we are looking at a truly fascinating, deeply philosophical, but actually incredibly practical piece of writing about happiness. Today's Explainer is all about the completely subjective nature of joy. But more importantly, it's about the profound wisdom of just leaving people alone when they finally found it. We're going to unpack a translation of a really powerful text by Su Feng, and it is going to seriously challenge some of our core assumptions about success, giving advice, and the quote-unquote right way to live.
To really wrap our heads around this philosophy, we have to start at the absolute beginning of human experience. Just picture this for a second. A kid, sitting right there on the ground, completely covered in dirt, just making mud pies. They are utterly absorbed, right? In that specific moment, the entire universe is shrunk down to nothing but the texture of the wet earth in their hands. They have found pure, unfiltered happiness.
But what usually happens next? The text draws a super sharp contrast for us here. Society, which usually takes the form of a really well-meaning adult, steps in. The adult brings all these rational expectations to the table. They say things like, "Hey, smart children should be reading instead of playing with mud," or "You need to stay clean, you're going to ruin your clothes." And just like that, the child's raw, authentic joy is suddenly weighed against society's metrics of productivity and cleanliness.
And the result of that? Well, just look at this quote straight from our source material. If an adult came over and interrupted, it would ruin the fun. It seems so incredibly simple, but this well-intentioned interference instantly shatters that innocent joy. Honestly, this very mundane, everyday interaction perfectly plants the seed for our explainer's broader theme. It shows exactly how our compulsion to force our own values onto other people, even when we have the absolute best intentions, is fundamentally destructive to human happiness.
Let's move to and see how this builds across a person's life. As you can see on this timeline, this dynamic absolutely does not stop in childhood. The disruption of joy by rational elders just keeps continuing through all stages of youth. Take teenagers, for example. The text argues that a teenager's intense idol worship is exactly like playing with mud. Their happiness lies totally within it. But when adults mock it, it casts this heavy shadow over their innocent hearts. And in young adulthood, when two people are deeply, irrationally in love, and elders step in demanding that they act rational, the author warns this can literally stop the budding of love from blooming, which causes a lifetime of regret.
Section 1. A Tapestry of Passions, the Diverse Nature of Adult Joy.
So as we transition from youth into adulthood, our passions become wildly diverse and deeply personal. I mean, look at the spread here. You have the thrill seekers finding their ultimate flow in horse racing or the stock market or bungee jumping. Then you have the folks seeking quiet reflection through poetry or fishing. Some people pour all their energy into the pure ambition of politics or making money, while others turn completely inward towards spiritual practices, like Buddhism or martial arts. The source material is totally adamant about this. Whether someone is risking their savings on the market or just sitting silently by a river, each person is finding genuine joy within their chosen pursuit.
Now, the text even pushes us out of our comfort zones a bit with a very specific, pretty bold example. It describes a woman with a beautiful figure who finds immense, authentic joy in taking nude photos of herself and sharing them publicly. And the author urges us strongly not to judge her by conventional moral standards. Why? Because she is completely immersed in her own joy, and others are thrilled by the beauty of her art. The author provocatively compares this pure, unashamed state to the original intent of the Garden of Eden. It is a really striking reminder that joy very often exists outside of rigid social norms.
Which brings us to a powerful, incredibly stabilizing takeaway. As long as you feel happy and content throughout your life, that is a successful life. The rule laid out here is just beautifully simple. As long as a passion brings someone happiness and doesn't actively harm anyone else, we literally just need to let them indulge in it. Constantly interfering doesn't save people, it only brings them distress and leaves them completely at a loss.
Let's move on to Section 2, Redefining True Success, Challenging Traditional Metrics.
This idea completely forces us to pivot and look at why people do things. If individual joy is the ultimate metric, we have to deeply question the traditional markers of a successful life that society drills into us from day one. I want to ask you directly, is becoming an emperor a success? Think about it. If someone achieves the absolute pinnacle of political dominance and ultimate power, have they automatically secured a happy life?
The text answers that with a really profound caution. Perhaps sorrow lies within.
I mean, think about the total isolation, the constant paranoia, the crushing weight of the crown. The outward symbol of ultimate success might actually just be a giant cage of emotional misery.
Okay, let's look at another one. Is having billions of dollars a success? This is arguably the absolute ultimate metric of success in our modern world, right? It's literally what we are all told to hustle and grind for. But once again, the text counters? Perhaps trouble lies within. Massive wealth so often brings massive complications. We're talking endless legal battles, entirely broken family dynamics, the constant, exhausting fear of losing it all. The money itself absolutely does not guarantee the joy.
What about status? Is becoming famous, or maybe holding a high public office, a success? Is the pursuit of endless public adoration and heavy bureaucratic authority really the secret key to waking up with a smile on your face every single day?
Perhaps problems lie within. This rhythmic sequence in the text perfectly drives home its point. It systematically dismantles our cultural idols of success, constantly reinforcing that conventional achievement is frequently just a facade. It is a very shiny exterior masking incredibly heavy, entirely hidden burdens.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core philosophy we are examining today. The author suggests that the mood of a person living a simple life in a thatched cottage might actually be way better than someone stressing out in a luxurious palace. Someone eating plain, simple food might have a much healthier body and mind than someone indulging in gourmet delicacies every single night. At the end of the day, simplicity is often just vastly better than complexity.
Section 3. The mystery of fortune. The duality of existence. So if traditional success might actually just be disguised misery, we really have to talk about the deeply unpredictable nature of fate itself. The author quotes this ancient, totally striking proverb: "Good fortune hides within bad, and bad fortune lurks within good." It perfectly establishes that simplistic, black-and-white views of the world, like this is good, that is bad, they completely fail to capture the true mystery of existence. You honestly never really know where a path is going to lead.
The text uses these stunning poetic metaphors to prove this exact point. The lotus emerges pure from the mud while fish perish in clear water. Really think about that for a second. A seemingly terrible, filthy environment, literal mud, breeds one of the absolute most beautiful and pure flowers in the entire world. Meanwhile, a perfectly sterile, crystal-clear pool of water can actually lack the nutrients a fish needs to survive, proving fatal.
Or consider this classic idiom: the mantis stalks the cicada, entirely unaware of the oriole bird right behind it. Being overly clever can actually lead directly to a person's own downfall. Meanwhile, the text notes, a lifetime of humiliation or desperate poverty might surprisingly be the exact catalyst that leads someone to profound spiritual enlightenment or the celestial path. It's like a giant puzzle. Who can truly comprehend these mysteries?
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, the wisdom of silence, the ultimate restraint.
So the crucial point is, if joy is totally subjective, if traditional success is basically a trap, and if fate is completely unpredictable, how should we actually interact with the people around us? Well, the answer, it turns out, is ultimate restraint. The author outlines the extreme prerequisites required before you should ever dare to offer advice, educate, or try to guide others. You must have great wisdom and insight. You must have deep enlightenment. Without these, the author warns, you run the very real risk of accumulating negative karma instead of doing actual good. You might think you're helping, but you're actually just the adult ruining the mud pie.
The author takes this so seriously that they make a personal vow, quoting the famous fictional character Wei Xiaobao. A gentleman's word cannot be taken back, no matter how fast the horse is. It is a humorous but deeply earnest commitment. The author pledges to step aside, stay silent, and absolutely refuse to offer poor, unsolicited advice to anyone who is happily immersed in their own passion.
I really want to leave you with this final, incredibly provocative thought straight from the text. Who can truly guarantee their advice will bring joy to another? The next time you see someone blissfully engaged in their own unique passion, whether it's building a literal mud pie, chasing a wild ambition, or just living quietly, really ask yourself that question before you speak. Maybe the absolute most profound wisdom is simply recognizing their joy and choosing not to disturb it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.